Awesome. I'm live with Anu Thubagere, co-founder and CEO of Iuno. It's awesome to have you here today, Anu.
Thanks, John. It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Did you intentionally name, both of us have names that sound similar to our companies. Did you do that on purpose at all?
um, well, a little bit. There was some intention behind taking a few letters of my name into the name of the company, but more importantly, it has Latin roots. So you're basically saying I uno, which means you're one and one only, because we individualize our reports, our products. So everything that we build, our technology is focused on individualization. And surprisingly enough, my name in Sanskrit also means unique and something precious. So till now I had not made that connection. So yeah, we could have named my company right after me and it would have still worked for everybody.
Very cool. So maybe you mentioned reports. Would love to learn a little bit more about who you are and what you're building.
Absolutely. So the concept for this company, Iuno, uh, was something that my co-founder and I have been thinking about since 2014. So at that point, I was diagnosed with leukemia, and it was not really going through the treatment that was the hard part, but getting the diagnosis was the hard part. It took us almost a year and a half for me to understand what was going on in my body, because every symptom that showed up was so different. It was anywhere from having issues breathing to having skin issues to having muscle pains and so on. And so every time it was a different doctor looking at this problem, and they looked at the symptom that they specialized in. And so it took a really long time before we realized, oh, this just, we had to look at the blood more closely, and it turned out to be leukemia. Now, that really nagged at me for a long time, because clearly I'm not the only one who's facing this problem. As I started talking to more people with who were diagnosed with other chronic conditions, whether it was diabetes or thyroid issues or chronic fatigue syndrome or even cancer, the time to diagnosis takes such a long time. And this is a problem because the longer it takes to diagnose your problem, the worse your body is getting, right? So your prognosis gets worse and worse. Um, and so I was on the lookout at that point for some way in which we could get ahead of this sick care system. Like, why do you want to wait till you fall sick? How can you treat yourself better? How can you course correct your life so you stay healthy longer? And so our goal is to build this symptom agnostic platform that empowers a person, an individual, to understand what's going on in their body. And we further empower them by providing individualized products so they can stay healthy longer. So we complete that insights plus product package for people.
Got it. And the insights versus and insights and products personalization is definitely trending right now in the health and wellness space. What differentiates your product? I know you all have focused on skin to start. Can you dive a little bit deeper into like what is the customer experience? What are you testing for? And then what is the customer receiving on the other side of the diagnosis or this testing?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons we started with skin is because for me, I've noticed, and maybe so have you, John, that every life event that we have, however big or small, what if, when it's happening inside your body is signaling to you that, hey, I am in pain, there's something happening to me here. And the way it signals to you in a lot of ways, if you are paying attention, is through your skin. A lot of times we have heard, like you've maybe had a rough day, and your loved one in the evening is like, oh, what, are you okay? How was your day today? You look a little, dull. So whether it is something simple as being exhausted from a long day to, I don't know, having leukemia and going through chemo, and a lot of things in between, everything shows up on your skin. Your skin is such a strong sensor for what's happening internally in your body. And so this is what got me excited about skin in the first place. And so what we do is try to understand what is happening inside in your body. Like, what are the signals that your body is giving out and how it's manifesting on your skin? And then from the outside in, how can we start to help you with topical solutions so you can keep your skin, which is a barrier to the outside world, your armor, so to speak, strong, and so you can stay healthy longer. That's really the principal thesis of our company. So if you go to our website and sign up for our product, the user would get a box like this. These are our brand colors. We went with purple and gold because, well, why not? It's a luxurious feel. And in this box, they receive a skin assessment kit. Now, the skin assessment kit can be taken out of the box. We made this so that the user doesn't have to worry about anything else that's happening in the box and can just focus on running their test. So the skin assessment test comes with some instructions, but more importantly, it starts off with sanitizing your finger. We provide alcohol wipes for that. You use a lancet and you collect blood on this card, and you ship this card back to us with the shipping materials that we provide. And we also provide first aid in case you need it. And that's it. So we receive your blood, and then 14 days later, we will send you a 28-day protocol that tells you that basically helps you solve for that problem that your skin is facing, right? And along with this product, we also send you a report that gives you a complete overview of all the proteins that we looked at and what they mean for your health, what they mean for your skin, and what is in this protocol, what is in this 28-day kit that can help you move towards solving that problem. And while you wait for the 28-day kit to come in, we don't want you to forget us, and so we include a 14-day skin priming kit in that same box, which has this beautiful mister. It's an atomizer basically, and we have 14 ampules that helps prepare your skin for what's to come next. And each of these ampules is just pure actives. There's no fillers, there's no carrier molecules. It's closed off to the air so that it's stable. You break the ampule open, you put it into the mister, and you spray your face and neck with it. And we also add a hydrator to seal in the actives, and this is your nighttime routine. You don't need anything else. This is all you need, and it's a 3-month plan for the person.
Interesting. Okay, so you you do the testing, and then you have these ampules. What is inside that stuff that you're misting onto your skin? What kind of ingredients are those?
Yeah. That's a great question. So we work with a Korean formulation company. The person we're working with comes with a very strong pharmaceutical background, and combining that with Korean skincare, know-how, I think we have managed to really create this unique. 60,000 formulations. Actually, we have a combination of 60,000 different formulations, and each of them follows the program itself follows your skin cycle. I know there is a lot here, and I'm trying to sort of put it in a way that it's more compact. Um, s- what we do is with this, so there are different cycles that your skin goes through. So there are times when you need to polish your skin, which means it's exfoliating, removing all the dead skins on top. There is room for moisturizing those newborn skin cells that are coming to the surface. There is then a time for adding repair molecules. Now, this repair is the most interesting part because we target so let's say you have in your blood, we realize you have high inflammation levels with your IL-20, IL-21, 23 being really high. That manifests on your skin as redness, right? And so so let's say it's for me, my repair ampule would have sufficient, topical solution to help reduce that inflammation and to help reduce the redness. So one example of this could be a component like niacinamide. It's something that helps not only strengthen your skin but also reduce the redness and help it stay, stronger for a longer time. And so what is important here, John, is that with niacinamide, just picking on that one chemical for a bit, it's important to understand what is the dosage you need, right? So the dose that you, John, might need is very different from the dose me, Anu, might need based on our skin, based on our inflammation levels, and so on. So this 3-month treatment plan actually takes that into account and sends you the right dose. So we understand what your problem is, we match it with the right solution, and we match the dose to that problem as well.
Interesting. So in terms but wasn't the just to better understand the experience, the product or the ingredient that you just mentioned, isn't that sent to the end user before you've even done any testing? So how is that then personalized or customized?
Yep, that's a great question. So the first 14 ampules that people get, think of it as it's a skin prep kit. It is not personalized for anybody. It is a general kit that has a very small dose of a bunch of everything. So basically, it gives you a sense of one. We wanted to give the user a sense of the experience because you see the form factor is new. Most people would not. It's hard to get into um, uh, this new form factor to use the product. So we want the person to experience this first, and we want to make sure that it is good for them, right? We'll get into solving your problem, but we want to make sure that we are not hurting you. So if you think about companies like L'Oreal, they don't do things like this. You go to the market, buy a box of cream, and if it breaks you out, you're done, right? You throw it away and you decide, okay, never again. But what we do is we add a very small quantity to make sure that your skin actually can tolerate this, and we build it up so that in your dose, so that we understand, so it actually works for you with that ramping up action rather than just bombarding your skin with everything and letting you fend for yourself.
Why the misting technology? How did that come about?
So the ampules have okay, let me take a step back here. All of us are walking around with 2-3 layers of dead skin on our face, well, on our body, right? So when you take a serum or a cream and you apply it, you're literally applying it to dead cells that's going to fall off. So you have to ask yourself the question, how do I get deeper than that? How do I get to skin that is yet to come up to the surface? These baby skin cells that require nutrition to grow. And so that's where the idea of the mister came in, because what the mister does is it literally takes the ampule, the liquid in the ampule, and breaks it into nano-sized droplets. And when that happens, the efficiency with which the drops enter your skin goes up by 90%. So we want to really build out our platform with the intention that we are not only providing you with quality ingredients at the right dose, but we are also getting it to reach the right place at the right time.
Interesting. Okay. And then on the blood testing side, what exactly are you testing for? Because I know there's a lot of there's a multitude of things that you could test for in a blood sample. Um, what exactly are you looking for?
So, because we're starting off with skin right now, we have identified a list of proteins that we know affects your skin. So that is in our. So we are calling it. We have two different panels we're looking at. One is an inflammation panel, which basically is looking at inflammation throughout your body, but the specific proteins we are looking specific proteins we are looking at show up as an effect on your skin, right? So that's one thing. The second thing we're looking at is a cardiometabolic panel. Now, this is important because when people have discoloration and pigmentation on their skin, more often than not, this is a function of them not being able to metabolize glucose very well. And I mean, I have what my partner very lovingly calls freckles, but I'm well on my way to becoming Morgan Freeman one of these days. That's for sure. It's because I'm South Asian. I am definitely pre-diabetic. It's gonna get into diabetic zone at some point, and so that is what basically causes this pigmentation on my skin. And so understanding that also helps you topically reduce some of these effects on your skin, but also because you know that this is a problem, your lifestyle changes, right? Like I'm so conscious about what sugar molecules go into my body now that I've been doing these tests for some time. I'm really conscious about what I eat. um, and in a lot of ways, I think it's helped me, even though I have cancer and I had cancer, um, I feel healthier now than I was before I was diagnosed, just because I'm taking care of myself much better.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so happy that you're feeling feeling better. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. A couple more questions on the product experience, and then would love to definitely get into more of your own wellness journey routine, because I know you do a lot of different tracking and things to stay feeling like your best. So you have this testing mechanism. You have this product line that then is coming through this like capsules and or ampules and misting. How are you thinking about solving things on the inside of your body with a topical? Because I would think that you'd want to go and solve the root or core of the issue through, I don't know, whether it's supplementation or lifestyle factors that would change the root issue. Can something on the topical skin actually go about and change what's happening on the protein level or the inflammatory level internally?
So, um, bear with me because I'm a
Does that make
scientist and I've
sense?
always It does make sense. So, the short answer to that is it can. Um, as in anything that is topical could have a systemic effect. Um, However, there is more science that needs to happen there to understand. Our goal here, initially, phase one, is to get people to understand what's going on inside in their body and what lifestyle changes that they can bring about to get to course correct initially. And we are helping them from a topical standpoint to prepare them for the next phase of our company, which is we are looking at ingestibles and things that can change your biochemistry from inside out. That's sort of a roundabout way of me saying yes. That is, I'm very much interested in what happens inside in your body, and we want to get to the root cause of it. Um, and we are working on it, and that would be our next line of products.
Got it. Okay. So short answer, it can impact the stuff outside, and topicals can impact the systemic root cause of the issues.
It can, and I'll give you a quick example of how this can happen. Now, there are these when your body metabolizes glucose or any metabolic activity happens, there are these molecules called age molecules that are formed. uh, it's a funny name, but what it really stands for is advanced glycosylated end products. Now, these age products are what causes the pigmentation and so on. Now, they tend to accumulate a, lo- a lot in the skin. They tend to accumulate in the skin. So what this does is it reduces your skin's health by creating these pockets of age products plus something called senescent cells, which are dead cells. Now, a topical solution there, one of the products that we have, when you apply, that will react with the age products and reduce that on the surface of the skin. So what does this do? This gets your skin stronger, and having stronger skin would keep your internal body stronger, right? I don't know, have you ever seen an avocado with or let's say a banana, which has spots on it and thought, oh yeah, the fruit inside must be pretty yummy? No, right? Because you know that the barrier is compromised. So strengthening the barrier is just as important as solving for what isn't happening internally.
Um, yeah, Anu, you mentioned you're a scientist and you sort of bring the an engineering background, both you and your co-founder, who I believe is your husband, right? Yeah, to this company. How did you like as you did the R&D, the research and development, and actually got this product to where it is today, where you have a wait list, you're getting ready to launch it. Um, how did your background lend itself to developing this product? And then who else did you have to bring into the mix in order to get the product to where it is today? Did doctors or dermatologists get involved as well, or did you keep this as more of like a scientific R&D bioengineering type um, development?
Yeah, no, those are some really great questions. So this basically, the product line itself came about with my experimentation with chemistry. I'm a bioengineer with a penchant for skincare and organic chemistry, and so a lot of the protocols and even the process of creating this protocol came from some of my um, what I would call a hobby, but a much more serious hobby, something that I did to take care of myself. So it came out of my own self care routine, for one. And the fact that, I'm a bioengineer, I was working towards a PhD and I have a PhD, all of that, lent itself really well into creating a rigorous product, not something that's a one time, works for one person, but how do you scale this to work for a community? And so the product itself came by through that. Now, the proteomics part was more interesting. Which so my co-founder Ashwin he's a proteomics expert. He recently exited a company that he built to do proteomics into a much larger, they were acquired very recently, as recent as I think a month, 2 months. And so the technology for proteomics, which is understanding how proteins play a role, how you can measure them, what it means to have different levels, he brings in that wealth of knowledge. He's also a professor at MIT, and his lab specializes in that. And so we in-house we have the knowledge for both the chemistry as well as the biology that's going on. And as far as the data science goes, I worked at Google for some time, worked with health tech components of, how to use data to really be able to understand complex systems and be able to predict different things. I think that knowledge of being at Google for 5 years really helped in understanding how do you use the proteomics data that's coming in and tie that to the product. So it was a lot. It was a lot of the work we did internally, Ashwin and me. And what we did, we reached out to. We do have dermatologists who are involved in understanding the problem to really identify what are some of the key issues that people come with. So we are collaborating with Stanford's Skin Innovation Lab up here in the Bay Area. We're working with Dr. Justin Coe, and he is a specialist in understanding what is sensitive skin and what it means to have sensitive skin, not just from an external point of view, but from a neurological point of view, from a biological point of view. Why do some of the people have sensitive skin versus not? And he's also worked on other areas, which is things like aging and metabolism and so on. So he brings a wealth of knowledge into working with us as well. And then in addition to that, one of the people I worked with at Google joined us. He is somebody who's worked with Google Health for about 20 years. Sorry, about 10 years, and was at X with me for a few years. And so I think the team that came together is relatively small, but with a wealth of experience. So we have about 5, 6 PhDs between all of us and a couple of MDs. So I think it's been great, and I should not forget mentioning my product designer. I think I have 2 people who have helped build this out, and they're both very young guys, like 23, 24 years old, and they've done such a fantastic job of thinking about the experience and the feel and the colors. And it's been the team that's come together has just been fantastic, and we are growing. We're looking to hire people who can help us do some user experience research, who can do a little bit more on the back end software engineering. We do have data scientists on our team right now, but we're looking to expand on the software team.
Amazing. Well, congrats on bringing it all together. I know it's no easy feat to get to, this point where you're ready. You've developed a product and you're ready for launch. As a PhD surrounded by other PhD scientists, sort of engineers, um, and you get ready to go to market, what have you validated so far with customer bases, and how you're planning to go to market, and what is still in the unknown for you, and what you're excited to try to prove out?
Yeah, so we had some of our so we've been doing I'm a big believer in iterations. We've been constantly iterating on our product, including the packaging and everything. Yeah. So yeah, we initially we had our product in hand last um, June, I would say, and for me. So we first did it for me, and I ran through the entire program, got my blood work done, looked at my proteome, designed this protocol, and we have an app that shows me how my skin is actually performing, because we wanted to be quantitative about this. And so our app measures how the product's working on your skin, and so that was and we bookended that with another proteomic test. So we did that first with a couple of us, 2, 3 of us, and then later on last year in October we ran an alpha launch with about 20 people. And this was all, some of the external people and some on our own team, to get a sense of what our operations would look like if we needed to scale, and also user experience. So in terms of technology and operations, I think we did really well. In terms of user experience, it was really poor, because people didn't know, like the ampules, no one had seen them before. They didn't know how to open it and so on. But anyway, I think we've worked through all of that now, and in December we sent out to about 50 people in the media and some influencers. We sent the kits out, and we're waiting on the results from that. But so far we have done 3 iterations on 3 different sets of people, and what we have noted is the proteomics works. The blood test card, we're able to extract the proteins that we want, and we're able to measure them. Our data science platform is fully functional. The ampules that we wanted to, from there, we are able to tell what the root cause is, and we're able to get the ampules assembled to be sent to the individual. And then we've also measured how the ampules work on these individuals, right? So all of this is available on the website when you go and look at results from some of our previous trials. Now, what is interesting is we're going to go into the wild now. Yeah, we're opening it up end of this month. So it's exciting to see, so much love and sweat and tears has gone into building this product. And we've certainly had some warm reception from the outside world who have, people have signed up. We have about 5,000 people who have signed up to be early testers who are willing to buy the product. That's what it's come down to now. We'll see how we perform in the wild, and it's exciting to to see people read our understand what proteomics is and understand how they feel, because my goal is to make people feel beautiful, not just look beautiful, and that comes with their internal health. And so we'll see how the world responds to that, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah, yeah, totally. And I hope it's continues to be a success. When you think about those 5,000 people so far that have joined a wait list and are interested in what you're doing, what do you think is driving them towards that interest? Is it people that are optimizers, or is it folks that are having issues, ongoing issues, chronic issues with their skin that have tried other modalities and that has failed them? What are you seeing or hearing from those early potential customers?
We saw two types of people come to us. One set of people are people who have experiment. So we ran market surveys to sign these people on. Yeah, so it wasn't just an ad that said sign up for something. It was more like walking them through the process of what we are building. And what we realized from that analysis that we did was that there were two groups of people. The first group was of people who have tried so many different products and have ended up hurting their skin more than actually helping, to the extent that now they're afraid to try anything, but they're still optimistic that there is something around the corner that can help them. So for this group, I think it really helps them to understand what's happening, what is happening internally, but also they're done experimenting. They don't want to experiment anymore. They're like, if there is something that just arrives at my doorstep, it understands what my problem is, it solves it for me, I am more than happy with it. Right. So that's one group of people who have come to us. The second group of people who have come to us are, as you said, optimizers who are excited about, they're healthy people. They keep good they take good care of their body, they take good care of their lifestyle, they have good lifestyles, they have good skin, and they've figured out what works for them. Now for these people, they want to elevate their experience. They want to see what more can I do in order to improve myself, right? And so one, I wouldn't even call them optimizers, then I would call them elevators, right? They want to elevate their lifestyle. And so that's the second group of people we're seeing who want to understand how this proteomic program can help them not just have better skin, but also elevate their lifestyle by making better nutrition choices, by making better, activity choices, and, times, and even to some extent optimizing the time that is best for them to eat, the time that is best for them to take some medication, to really get a full 360-degree view of their body. So those are the two schools of people that we are seeing.
For the folks that are in camp one, in group one, that have had these chronic issues, how do you foresee? I know you don't have like, this is all data that's about to come in based off of how you go and perform in the wild. But if you had a magic sort of like crystal ball and you were to sort of picture how they would interface or interact with Iuno versus the traditional medical system, dermatologist, specialist, how do you foresee that yin and yang? Do you think they're going to be like really delving into the Iuno world, and that that you guys will be that like go-to source, trusted source, or do you think it's going to be this conversation between, hey, I'm still going to do Accutane, for example, but I'm also going to do how do you see that interface between maybe more Western medicine and the functional, personalized, integrated medicine and biotech that you guys are kind of bringing to the table?
I think at the end of the day, John, it needs to be, there needs to be evidence, right? Whether whatever product that you're using, there needs to be evidence of its efficacy. And we're seeing more and more that people want to understand this, even in the wellness sector. It's not that, oh, I will just take some nutraceutical, I'll just take some vitamin C, and what happens? They really want to see results and they want to be shown results. And so I think that's where we really create that universe for the individual to come to us as a complete healthcare program. At this point, it is a complete skincare program where they understand what's happening internally. They're given a solution and they see results, and we evolve the product for them as their skin evolves. So we want to build that out to other areas as well. Maybe it is nutrition next, and then it is aspects of because a lot of people who are coming to us are women. There could be a fertility angle to this. There's a overall women's health angle to this, and so I see us as how when Amazon started, they were just selling books, and now they're everywhere. I think the potential for Iuno to grow into something like that reboots the healthcare system today, and creates that evidence-based platform, both in health and in wellness. That's where we're poised to go.
Very cool. Okay, I think we've done a lot of deep dive in the product. Appreciate all the information around product development, around go to market, the intricacies of that. So excited to see it out in the wild as well. Curious to dive a little bit deeper into you as a founder, as someone who's passionate about health and wellness. Um, what does that look like for you today? What kind of practices are you honing in? What kind of things are you tracking? And then where do you have left to go? What else do you want to bring into that sort of health toolkit?
So it started with me getting my DNA sequenced to understand where, what was my blueprint, what was I born with, right? And then starting to understand, okay, this is my lifestyle. What is my body doing now? And so that's where the proteomics part comes in. So the DNA part I only had to do once. The proteome part I do every 3 months. Um, Now, apart from that, I track, my glucose levels. I have an Abbott sensor that I wear to let me know. I was able to solve some problems surrounding my metabolism with that. I wear an Apple Watch, tells me how my heart rate is doing, and so on. And more importantly, I think even to this day, it is still my skin that tells me what is wrong. About 2 weeks ago, I started to get, I usually don't get acne, and I started to get acne on my chin. And I'm like, hold on, what's going on here, right? And it was painful. It wasn't just one. There was another one that cropped up. This was during the holidays. I'm packing and shipping out boxes to our VIPs and media. There's a ton of stress, right? The end of the year stress, it's adding up. And so, even to this day, I believe that my skin is the best indicator of my health, whether it is something chronic or something that's more episodic, like stress. So, these are some of the things that I'm tracking today. I think there's a long way for us to go in understanding, in tracking our metabolites, for example, right? There's a lot of that happens, but we don't know. So it's easy to think, okay, there are 20,000 genes. We may make on the scale, we might make 20,000 times something number of proteins. So we understand the scale of what we need to measure. But when it comes to metabolites, there isn't sufficient science to understand how many metabolites you need to measure. Is glucose just sufficient? Do you want to measure lactose? Do you want to measure cholesterol? Do you want to measure, there's a bunch that we understand and know, but there's so much more there. And it'll be exciting for me to see what comes out of that world over the next decade or so. And my co-founder's lab, Ashwin's lab, is working on developing some technologies around that. So our hope is to include that into our testing as well as time goes on. So there's a lot to come here. And, your body is like an infinite source of information, and it's so dynamic. There's never a dull moment for us. So, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, when you say all that, it can almost feel overwhelming too, right? Like, because it would be one thing if we were like basically all we were responsible for was the information that was coming out of our own bodies and optimizing our habits, our routines in order to basically get that information in order. And it's another thing to basically be regulating the information that's coming in and out of our bodies with the information that's coming in and out of our inboxes and our messages of our phone and so on and so forth, and what we want to stay on track of, in terms of what's happening in the world. So as you think about your own lifestyle and testing, how do you find the balance between um, sort of living and just being intuitive about what's working and what's not working, health and wellness wise, versus everything needing to be data driven or tracked?
So I have a 2-point answer for that. The first point is, this was precisely the question one of our advisors asked me. There's like a wealth of information here, so much so that it is overwhelming. How do you present this? How do you show? How does a person make sense of this? And should we be telling this to people? Now, this is where Iuno is different, yeah, because we're not just bombarding you with information. You do 23andMe, you get a report. Okay, what are you going to do with that report? You have no idea. So here you get a report, but you're also getting, we are building an interpretation engine, or we have built an interpretation engine that looks at your data and spits out the solution for it, and we send you the solution. So in some way you don't have to think about it. So think about Google. Yeah, there's so much happening on the back end of Google, but you don't need to know any of it. You go search for what you want, and Google gives you a list of the top whatever 10 things that is useful for you. So in a way, this is something like that. You don't have to understand the intricacies of what's happening in the back end. Leave that to us. We're the data nerds. We'll crunch it. What you need to do is just experience what we send to you and experience the report, and feel safe knowing that, okay, this is what's happening to my body, but there is a path forward. I can solve it with this. So that's my first part answer. The second part is, as far as I go, how do I balance this? Like I said, I'm just a data nerd, and it's part of my life. It's not going to go away. Different people have different hobbies and habits and things that they track and things that they don't track. For me, it's people get a dopamine hit by scrolling on TikTok. I get my hit by reading my reports and understanding my body, because honestly, when you've gone through a year and a half of not knowing, in the best time of your life, in your 20s, when you are energetic, when the rug gets pulled from under you, you don't want to be in that situation again. And I just get that hit every time when I see my report, when I see my results, that yes, I'm still doing well, I'm doing great. And that gives me a sense of well-being. So there are different ways to think about it. For me, that information is just it's a check. It's a check mark that the check engine light on my car is not on yet, and it's running smooth, and the car is doing well, and it keeps me going.
So in the mornings, for example, are you checking that information? what does that look like for you on a day-to-day basis? What are you checking in on? Um, what would you say is the most underrated piece of information that you are tracking that has benefited you in terms of how you live your lifestyle?
I think the most underrated one was the honestly the step counter. It's a miracle as to put in those 10. I know people underestimate it, but and Eric Friedman, who was the founder of Fitbit, is one of our advisors, and I still tell him this, that 10,000 step idea, that is just pure gold, right? You don't have to tell people, oh, walk 2 miles, walk 20 minutes. No, you broke it down into such a simple solution. 10,000 steps, that's it. You could walk round and round in your room and create 10,000 steps. So the reason I bring that up is because as we are, as a society, we're going more and more sedentary, right? We're stuck to our computers, stuck to our phones. We have fantastic cars that we drive. It's, you're constantly sitting, and that's not healthy for your body at all in any way. Your posture is awful, your muscles are not moving. It's a car. Your body is like a car. It needs to be driven, it needs to be out on the road, and it's not on the road, right? So for me, honestly, that is the moving and reminding yourself to move, whether it is Fitbit's 10,000 steps or whether it is Apple Watch, my Apple Watch reminding me, get up, you've been sitting for 10 minutes. That's phenomenal. So what I do is every hour, if I've been sitting, I just do 10 squats. It doesn't matter where I am. My team sometimes thinks I'm nuts, but that's just me. Yeah, but just do 10 squats, right? At the end of the day, I've done 100 squats and I feel great, right? So it's hacks like that, I think, keeps us moving.
How do you think about the mental side of wellness for yourself? Mental, spiritual, emotional side, outside of the physical, the stuff that you do. How do you make sure that your mind is in order?
I think one of the key points of so this was brought to focus for me when I started this company. There is always something to do. I mean, you run a company, you know how it is. The to-do list is never done, right? There's always something more to do. So part of and it's like that not just in an entrepreneur's life but in everybody's life. Yeah, as adults we have a constant barrage of activities going on. The thing that's helped me most is being mindful of what I'm doing today and what that means. So knowing and following that, okay, I'm in the moment, like right now I'm with John, I'm talking about this. Forget that I have meetings all through the day, forget that it is Friday, whatever other things may be. I actually have third degree burns on my foot right now. I don't know if I told you about that. That's a different story.
No.
um
Oh man,
but
what happened?
yeah, so I have a burnt foot. It's cooked medium rare. There was a puppy and a cup of hot water involved, but that's tangential to this conversation. But I think being focused, being mindful of what is happening right here, right now, keeps me grounded, keeps me really going forward. And the thing that somebody told me, which I've tried to follow a lot every day, is don't let the things that you cannot do stop you from doing the things you can do, right? So I think that, to me, I've picked up these things. I've been very lucky, fortunate to have some amazing mentors, and everyone has left me with some piece that's stuck in my head and that's made me into the person that I am today. And I'm just super grateful to them. So I would say for spirituality and wellness, maybe this is a very Indian concept, but look to your elders. They have lived through a lot more than you have, and life experience, build on their experience. That definitely keeps me grounded.
Speaking of mindfulness and I love, just taking a pause and just being aware of where you are, who you are. Uh, that that stuff is, it sounds cliche, but it works. On the side of your relationship with your co-founder slash husband, how do you both find the balance between work and not talking about work, since it's such a deep and integrated part of your life and now your relationship?
Um, so yesterday
I
I
know
was
it's probably
having no,
hard.
no, it's a great question, and I'll come to that. Yeah, I I was having a conversation with one of my mentors yesterday. He's 65 years old, has been building companies, biotech companies for like 40, 45 years now. Very successful person. And I look to him for inspiration, for advice, for a lot of things. And I asked him, Mir, I mean, how do you handle this? How do you keep doing this? Because he wakes up, even now, wakes up at 5, goes to bed at 1. He's like, this is my life. I don't think of it as anything else. I build companies, I build technology. That's my life. Right. So I think for in a lot of ways, Ashwin and I are like that. Our relationship, is built around the trust that comes from having built so many things, of having gone through so many things. It's like, think about um, soldiers in a war. You fight in the trenches, that relationship gets that much stronger. There is a reason why people in the army are so close, because they've gone through fire and survived to tell the tale. It's the same with Ashwin and me. We look at each of these as, wars that we are fighting together, and there is nothing else that can strengthen a relationship than going through such challenges. So yeah, dinner time conversations are about proteomics. Early morning is about, oh, what was your app telling me today? Why do I have this thing coming up? So I mean, right now, but since we've been together for a long time, and it's a very he's my intellectual sparring partner, and I'm his. So that's what keeps this going.
That's cool. How did you guys meet?
We met at the university, so we've studied together for some time. He was my postdoc for some time, and there's been uh, a lot of intellectual chemistry there that turned into our relationship later.
That's beautiful. If you have a couple more minutes, Anu, I'd love to get into some rapid fires, just so folks could get a better understanding of who you are, holistically outside of work too. Are you up for it?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it. Okay, I'll try to make it quick. So, book you've recommended the most, reread multiple times, or has left a lasting impact on you?
Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. I think that was something that just speaks to me, and everyone on my team has a copy of it and they read it.
Amazing. Favorite product at Trader Joe's or CPG product in general that you always like to have stocked in your pantry?
I love their plan. I love Trader Joe's. Well, I love anything Trader Joe's, but their plantain chips are just to die for me.
Amazing. Purchase under $200 that you've made in the last 6 to 8 months that's provided the most value to you.
Mm. Oh, my AirPods, for sure. I lost them, so I bought a new pair. Yeah, can't live without them. That's fantastic. They help me work out. They help me communicate. Yeah.
Yeah, very clutch. Signature dish or your favorite thing to cook?
Uh, just one. Okay. Uh, I make a wicked pasta carbonara. But I also like steak a lot, medium rare. But yes, those two.
One thing you're grateful for today.
My partner, I think he has seen me through a lot, whether it was my illness or, graduations and uh, yeah, building this company. I think there's nothing beyond that.
I look forward to meeting him. Best piece of advice you've ever received.
It's from my advisor, one of my advisors who's no longer with us now. One of the things he told me was the best thing he told me was always ask for what you want. Most people don't like to say no. So if you can ask for what you want, you will get it. Um, and that served me a lot.
I love that. What's your guilty pleasure?
Chocolate, dark chocolate, lots and lots of it. Darker, the better.
Like 100%? Do you ever go that dark?
No, I've gone up to 98. I love the texture, but it starts to get intense at that
Yeah,
point. Yeah.
favorite podcast or podcast episodes or any that have left a lasting impression on you?
I think there's a few podcasts I've heard from Joe Rogan. I think he's an interesting person, and he's got some really interesting people on his show before. But Dr. Rhonda Patrick, I think her podcast of Find My Fitness has been just phenomenal. She's a microbiologist and, things through. She's a scientist turned entrepreneur and is just a phenomenal woman. So that was one of the best podcasts I've heard from his show. But in general, I think Joe Rogan does it's guaranteed entertainment, and I come off learning something at least at the end of it.
Yeah, he's pretty iconic. And then last question, craziest or most out there thing you do to optimize your well-being? I know we've gotten into data and numbers and tracking, but I'm curious if there's anything that we haven't touched upon yet that you do that sets you apart.
So when things get really crazy with my body and I need to reset it, I do a 3-day fast. Just water, absolutely nothing else. And at the end of it, it is just such a grounding experience. It forces you to control every impulse that you have. It cleans your body of all the gunk that, I may have eaten a whole bunch of stuff before. And it just really makes you, think about what food means to you, that it is nourishment. It needs to get you healthy. It's something that you're putting into your body, so you better be mindful about what it is that's going into your body and not just a bag of chips. So I that's something that has worked for me extremely well in resetting my life.
Do you know Gurjeet Singh in the Bay Area? You met him? He
Mm-mm.
runs Oma Fertility.
Okay, yeah, I know of the company, but no, I
Yeah,
haven't met him.
yeah. He does 1 day on or 2 days on, 1 day off.
Oh, wow.
Or he
Okay.
does 1 day on, 2 days off. He does he's
Oh,
like does the most interesting fasting regimen. But I've always thought about that. Like if things are really out of whack, just take a break from food
yeah.
and just like kind of let things reset. It's like physical, it's mental, it's even more than that. Anu, this has been awesome. So nice to have you here sharing about Iuno. Excited about what you're building, and also great to get to know you on a more personal level. Um, where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about the company? I'll definitely be linking to those as well in the description. But yeah, anything you want to leave us with before we sign off for today?
Yeah, so we are getting ready to launch our product and we'll be live. So, sign up on iuno.bio or just come by it. I think next week by Tuesday or Wednesday we should be live. So just come and get it and see what we have to offer. And we also have our Instagram at iuno.bio, and so that has some more fun information. And if you subscribe to our newsletter, we cover things on how proteomics is actually tied to your skin and what you could do to better your lifestyle, what it means to have a healthy proteome and so on. So yeah, connect with us in any of these ways.
Fantastic. Well, congrats on the upcoming launch, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pleasure. Thanks, John.